I've got Canada in my pocket, a little bit of history. Hope that song has stuck in your minds. It sure has stuck in mine, but it helps us to learn the Canadian coins. Last week you learned the names of the coins, the symbols on it, and how much they are worth. This week we're going to learn how to count with our Canadian coins. Just to remember from last week, the Canadian coins are the penny that are no longer in our pocket, but they are worth 1 cent. And the next one is the nickel with the beaver on it. And the nickel is worth 5 cents. So this week we are going to, when we count with nickels, we're going to count by fives, just like we were practicing in our classroom. Then we have the dime with the schooner on it. And the dime is worth 10 cents. So when we count with our dimes, we are going to count by tens, and you guys are experts at that. Next we have the quarter, which has a caribou on it. It is worth 25 cents. Lastly, we learned about the loonie, and the symbol on the loonie is the loon, and it is worth $1. Finally, we learned about the toonie, and the symbol on the toonie is the polar bear, and the toonie is worth $2. So this week you're going to see some piggy banks and some handfuls of coins, and you are going to have to count how much is in the piggy bank or how much you are holding in your hands. So we're going to practice. I'm going to show you some different ways that you can count with our Canadian coins. So I'm going to turn you around. And up here, Mrs. Burke has put our giant hundreds chart up on my wall. And I have my first handful of coins. Let's turn that one around. And what are we going to count with first? What do you see? There it is. There is the beaver. So we're going to count with some nickels. How many nickels do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4 nickels. Now, the nickels are not worth 1 cent, so we don't have 4 cents here. We have more than that because each nickel is worth 5 cents. So I'm going to use my hundreds chart to help me count by fives, just like you were doing in our guided math. When you would sit with Mrs. Burke, we would practice counting by fives and tens. So the first number we count with when we count by fives, so my first nickel is going to be 5 cents. Then we go to our next number in counting, 10. Put the next nickel. Then we go to 15, and my last nickel goes here. So let's count. Ready? 5, 10, 15, 20. So I had 20 cents in my hand. And make sure that you say cents, because you're not counting elephants, you're counting money. So Mrs. Burke in her hands has 20 cents, and we counted by fives. Next, I'm going to grab this coin. And you see it? There we go. It is the schooner. We're going to count with dimes. How many dimes do I have in my hand? I have 3 dimes. And how much is a dime worth? 1 dime is worth 10 cents. So we're going to count by tens. So I'm going to put 10 10, 20, 30. So Mrs. Burke had 30 cents in her hand. Okay, let's see if you can do it. I've got some laid out right here, and I have my own little hundreds chart, just like you have at home. So my first money amount are 3 nickels, and I can see the beaver on the nickels. 3 nickels. So I'm going to take the first one. 5, 10, 15. So my first question is 15 elephants? No, Mrs. Burke. 15 cents. And don't forget to put that cent sign, because if we don't put the cent sign, we could be counting anything. But we're counting money. 15 cents. So you can see that I had 3 nickels. The last nickel I put down underneath it is the 15. So that's how we know how much money we had. And if you forget how to count by 5s, Mrs. Burke has attached a video in your assignment for counting by 5s. Remember, you're going to count all the numbers that end in a 5, and you're going to say all the numbers that end in a 0. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. And that's how we count by 5s. You guys were doing a great job at that before we left at March break. Now I have 4, what's on them? The schooner, so I have 4 dimes. So I know I'm going to count by 10s. 10, 20, 30, 40. 4 dimes is 40 cents. So I'm going to write it down here. I have 40 pieces of pizza? No, 40 cents. Don't forget to show me the cent sign. Now, if you forget how to count by 10s, again, Mrs. Burke has put a video in your slides. But remember, this is how we count by 10s. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay, last one. Let's see if you can do it. What's on my coins? The beaver. So I've got nickels again. So what does that mean I'm going to count by? 5s. And how many nickels am I going to count this time? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's see. Remember how to count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I have 25 shoes? No, 25 cents. With my 5 nickels, I have 25 cents. All right. Practice counting your nickels, practice counting your dimes, and I can't wait to see your work. Have fun.